So do yourself a favour, check out the Carlisle Cult Cinema Club, and don't forget not just to rate it, but also to subscribe on YouTube or Facebook.
Welcome to the Carlisle Cult Cinema Club presents Clive Mantle with 137 IMDb credits to his name, 92 as an actor, 32 as a self-talking head, game shows, etc., 7 as archive footage, and 1 as a writer for Hello Mum. Welcome to the show, you icon of British TV, Clive Mantle.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Icon is a very, very strong way of describing my career. I'm a jobbing actor. I just keep going. I've been lucky enough to be in some very good things, and I've also been in some absolutely terrible things. And I've been good in some things, and I've been absolutely terrible in other things. So it's if you keep going for 40, 45, 50 years, or however long it is since, about nearly 50 years, you're going to end up in some very, very notable productions and some awful ones as well. So the trick is just to keep going. That's the answer. Pay the bills, keep going, and try and entertain people.
Well, and you have done that. You've been in some iconic British TV shows over the years, but it all started for you as a youngster when your mum made you play the Fairy King at Barnet Church
Yeah.
Bazaar.
Yeah, I'm afraid that set the tone for the rest of my life. I probably peaked at the age of 5 or whatever it was. No, I can still see that picture. I've got it in a scrapbook somewhere. I had to be bribed very heavily in order to wear this tunic, which I was convinced looked like a dress, and I wasn't happy with that at all. And I had a very, very rudimentary crown put on my head, and it's the most unhappiest looking child king you've ever seen in your life in this picture. But it set the tone. Set the tone, I'm afraid. I can still remember who played the Fairy Queen, Elaine Bale. I wonder whatever happened to her. Anyway, so she was my little girlfriend at the time. Very happy memories they were.
Oh, well, let's see, going back a few years there, you're also a very accomplished singer and started in the church choir, and you even had a choral scholarship, and you got into a choir in Cambridge.
Yeah, that's right. I was myself and my dad were in Barnet Parish Church Choir, which is very, very high standard of singing. But from there, obviously my voice was good, and I auditioned for choir schools in Oxford and Cambridge, and I was very, very lucky to be accepted into St John's College Choir School in Cambridge, which at the time was the second best choir in the world after the Vienna Boys Choir. It was an extraordinary experience. So I was uprooted from my education in Barnet at the age of 9. I think I was just 9, and then off to prep school in Cambridge. Totally different way of life, singing for 4.5 hours a day, practice in the morning, and then the evensong in the college chapel every night. So it was an extraordinary period of my life. And to be honest with you, I joked about peaking at the age of 5. I really did peak at the age of between 9 and 13, because nothing I can ever do in my life will be as to the highest standard that when I was with St John's. Made 9 albums, I think, toured large parts of the world, Canada, America, lots of Europe, all over Britain, live television performances, it's just fantastic, a really extraordinary education, not only in music, but in pageant, in architecture, in ceremony and things like that. Not necessarily religion. I don't think religion rubbed off on me that much, although the amazing music that people wrote to the glory of their God was, a beautiful thing to be able to take part in. And I still obviously love listening to that sort of music. But No, it was a great all-round education and an extraordinary experience.
Do you still keep up with your singing?
Well, when your voice breaks, it can it can go, well, one of many ways. But you're meant to, if you've been singing that much as a boy treble in a choir like that, you've got to let your voice rest as it breaks, as it becomes your mature adult voice. And sadly, the school that I went to next knew that I'd been in St John's College Choir and more or less forced me, made it very difficult for me to refuse joining the school choir there. And that unfortunately, was when I was meant to be resting my voice. And so now I've got a good, loud, filling in sort of voice. It's accurate and it's supportive, but it's not particularly beautiful to listen to by itself. It's when I've been in musicals and things like that, it's a good character voice, but it's not.
Right, yeah.
I'm no Aled Jones, I'll tell you that.
I used to do a bit of singing myself. I was in a band and things back in the late 90s. So yeah, we had an album out and things, but yeah, good
Right.
crack. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, music is an incredible part of my life, and I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for that grounding I had at St John's. It's wonderful.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. So one of your first credits on IMDb was Minder, series 3 of Minder.
Yeah.
And you went up against Terry McCann, who was looking after a singer's house. What was that like being on such a, great? I've watched Minder umpteen times, and I can remember the episode that you were in.
Dream
And
House, yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an extraordinary experience. It was I just left RADA, Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, which was my drama school, my university, if you like. It's the actors' university, and the next battle when you join the profession is to get your equity card, or it was then. It's no longer compulsory to have an equity card to act. But in those days, it was. We're talking 1980, I think. And yeah, I got my equity card from appearing in Minder. For that, I was very grateful. But also, I loved the program, and it was a real joy to work with George Cole and Dennis Waterman and Wanda Ventham, who's she played my mum. She's better known nowadays for being Benedict Cumberbatch's mum, but
Yes.
She was an extraordinary actress in her own right. No, a glorious experience, and I can remember the sense of pride first seeing my name in the Radio Times or the TV Times, whatever it was, there as part of a cast list for the first time on television. It was lovely experience. We filmed in what was then Rod Stewart's house in Ascot or somewhere like that, and I can remember there was a tartan carpet on the floor of the billiards room. And I remember we all took turns to have a game of snooker on Rod Stewart's snooker table, which was great, and the big fight sequence in his swimming pool and all that.
Yes.
I think
Richard
he was away on
Griffiths.
tour at the time. He wasn't locked upstairs, getting out of the way of the filming. But no, an extraordinary experience, and those early jobs, you remember each and every moment of it. You remember each and every mistake you make, or you remember each and every bit that you think, oh, that went well. Very proud to have been in it. Yeah.
And then 83, you were one of the fantastic cast of Party Party. You played the bully Bobby. And is it true that you knocked Daniel Peacock out with a headbutt?
No. Dan was a great pal of mine, an old flatmate of mine, and an extraordinary talent, Daniel Peacock, a wonderful energy, comes from his father was in Vicar Dibley. He wrote songs. His dad, Dan's dad, Trevor Peacock, wrote songs for Adam Faith and people like that, and acted and directed, and just an extraordinary role model for Dan, who inherited that and wrote films and wrote TV series, produced TV series, acted in them, and now he's the most extraordinary man. He works in care homes with people with dementia, cheering them up, literally going around talking to them, chivying them along, reminding them of the person that they used to be. Because his dad suffered terribly with dementia later on in life, and Dan wants to put back something to this generation of people now who've sadly got dementia, slipped into dementia. So an extraordinary human being. He wrote Party with Terry Windsor, the director. We did it first at the National Film School. We just did a little half-hour version of it called Larry's Party, and then a year later it was blown up into the feature film Party. And again, you've picked out some extraordinary experiences already, but I mean, that was 120 of us, all aged between the age of sort of 18 and 25, in a house in Hendon for 2 months. And it was just a very formative experience. I shall put it like that. It was extraordinary. Yeah.
It's a film I watch often, usually New Year's time, and I've got the soundtrack, and I absolutely adore that film. I think it's so funny, and I'm hoping to get Daniel Peacock and Carl Howman on the show.
Oh tell them if you get in contact with them, tell them I recommend that they do it for you. Yeah.
All right, I'll pass that on.
Yeah.
Then the next year, 1984. You land the role of Little John in Robin of Sherwood.
Yeah.
And I believe there's a story about Matthew Kelly.
Well, we were filming in, we're quite an extraordinary band, the Merry Men. Led, our social secretary was Ray Winston. He sort of set the template for how we socialized and went about our downtime when not filming, and we were filming early on in Alnwick and Bamborough up in the northeast, and beautiful places. We were staying at, I think, the Lord Crew Arms in Bamborough, and we found out that was it Alnwick or Bamborough? I can't remember. We found out that Matthew Kelly was filming Game for a Laugh at the same time. And we all thought it would be very interesting to find out if Matthew Kelly was game for a laugh, if we kidnapped him from his hotel bedroom and tried to chain him to the door of the castle. He got wind of this and escaped through the window of his hotel room. Where he ended up spending the night, I have no idea. But so it could have been very different early experience, but we were that sort of band, really. We were very, very tight. We still are. We still all see each other. We've got WhatsApp groups where we instead of talking about our conquests and our latest jobs, we're now talking about our hip replacements and what blood pressure medication we're on and things like that. But they're still my core bunch of friends in my life, and that's Mark Ryan, Jason Connery, Michael Praed, Ray Winston. They're extraordinary people, and we're still thick as thieves. The fans of Robin of Sherwood are amazed that we're all still in touch, because it is 40 odd years ago, and we still have these conventions once every other year, where all the fans get together, and we're all in the same hotel, and we just remember the series and those television programs when you're young that have a massive effect on you, last with you the whole of your life. And Robin of Sherwood was obviously a program which affected people greatly, and I've got it myself with Noggin the Nog. I don't know if anyone, you know.
I can remember Noggin the
Yeah.
Nog.
But you see that sends shivers up and down my spine when I hear Oliver Postgate's you know, words, you know, in the lands of the north, you know, or you know, when it just sends absolute shivers of joy down my spine when I hear that. Yeah, so it's very, very, very lucky to be part of a cult TV show which has had such an effect on so many people. It was shown in 42 countries, you know, so millions of people, you know, across the world have seen it. We've been dubbed into all sorts of other languages, and we've heard a few of our incarnations from abroad. It's always very interesting to hear how you've been dubbed into Japanese or Russian or whatever it is. No, but 3 very glorious years, and we the only reason we stopped making the series was that the money was put into it by Goldcrest, HTV, and Showtime, an American TV channel, and the Goldcrest collapsed financially. They collapsed, so and the other two couldn't stump up the rest of the money, so the show folded, sadly. But we'd still be making it now, given the chance.
It was a staple Saturday nights. We used to love it every week, and
Yeah,
then run about pretending we were Robin.
that's
And
right.
you know, you were one of the few men who actually beat Robin.
Yes, yeah. I got we filmed that sequence very near where I live now, Bowood, in Wiltshire, and yeah, they he fell in 4 times when he wasn't meant to, and I fell in 3 times as we did the fight on the log. Yeah, that's the famous Little John Robin Hood meeting. Yeah, so I won on both counts.
Brilliant. But no, it was and I've watched the repeats umpteen times as well when they've been on BBC ITV4, sorry. And it's
Yeah.
still just such a great show.
I think
Was it
yeah, they show them every school holiday. They show the series again. It's great.
yeah, it's great. Was it a bit of a shock when Michael Parade left and was
Yeah, we were all absolutely stunned. You know, he was such a success in the series, and the series was going down so well. The thought of him leaving was terrible. But they did a big hunt for the next Robin. I remember Paul McGann came and tested, Neil Morrissey came and tested, and I think a couple of other people I can't remember now. And they chose Jason, and you know, and he's thank goodness they did. He's one of my dearest friends still to this day, and yeah, so it did carry on, but only sadly collapsed because the money fell through.
yeah, which was a shame.
Yeah.
86, you won the Olivier Award for Most Promising Newcomer for playing Lenny in Of Mice of Men.
Well, I was nominated. I was nominated. I didn't win it. I
All
won
right.
the Plays and Players award for best newcomer, but no, the Olivier Award went to a theatre company. There were two actors and 2 theatre companies up for best newcomer. I don't know how you can possibly tackle a theatre company in competition. But anyway, the wisdom of the Olivier committee at the time pitched us against two theatre companies. Anyway, it was very, very lovely to be nominated, and it certainly elevated my status in the industry somewhat. And yeah, but Of Mice and Men, more importantly, is one of the greatest things ever written. I mean, it is almost the perfect play. It's beautifully constructed, taken from this novella that John Steinbeck, the brilliant John Steinbeck, wrote, who people will be familiar with Grapes of Wrath and East of Eden, things like that, Cannery Row. But he wrote so much, and all of it is absolutely worth devouring. He's a glorious writer. And Of Mice and Men is almost the jewel in his crown. Obviously, Grapes of Wrath, I think, is probably his greatest work. So very lucky. I've done 7 productions of it, I think, or 6 productions over the years, and it's about the most wonderful part for a big chap to make. To play. I'm 6'5.5", and I was a lot heavier then when I did it. And Lenny is a huge character, and not blessed with O levels. Poor old chap. He struggles in life, but he heart of gold, and life goes slightly wrong for him on a number of occasions, and it's the most glorious tale of friendship set amidst the America of the 1930s. Itinerant workers traveling from farm to farm, desperate, trying to earn a living and trying to earn a stake so they can have a place of their own. And it's such an important story, and it's such a wonderful thing. When Steinbeck first wrote it, he wrote it as this novella, and he had a new dog, a lovely gun dog, who devoured it, who ripped it to bits and shredded it on the floor of his study. And Steinbeck had to sit and write it all again. And someone said to him, "Aren't you mad with your dog?" He said, "No, it's probably a very good critic, probably a very good judge, and I'm sure I can do better." So he wrote the whole thing twice, and it really does show it, because it is meticulous. It's a wonderful. I mean, you can read it in an afternoon. It's a beautiful book. It's only just stopped being on the syllabus, I think, the O level or whatever you call it now,
right?
GCSE syllabus.
That's a shame. The first time I saw it was the Lon Chaney Jr. version.
Yeah,
and he's superb as Lenny.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. Yeah, Burgess Meredith and Lon Chaney Jr. I think that was 1941. Yeah, they made the film. So yeah, incredible. Sadly, there was a poor remake with Malkovich and Gary Sinise, which I was desperate to do a film remake of it, and when I can remember it being one of the bleakest days of my life when I found out that they were in production to make it, and it's, those there are downsides to being in acting but very few and far between.
87, you land the role Superman 4: Quest for Peace, playing Nuclear Man, the first one, or Bizarro Superman, as I like to call him. And he's very kind of childlike. I know you're up and down with how it came out, because I've seen the bits on YouTube, and with the silly music on and things like that. And I know it was all cut down for that.
Yeah. Well, it's long story short, it's about the best thing I've ever done, certainly film or television wise, in terms of my performance. I worked on it with Gene Hackman and Christopher Reeve, and Gene Hackman said to me, "You'll have your own series on American television once they see this." So I mean, and he was no mug. Gene Hackman didn't.
No, definitely not.
Offer up. Fluff. He said what he meant, and so I knew I was doing a good job. I mean, I would do a take, and the crew would applaud and stuff like that. That doesn't happen very much. Then I was completely cut from the film, and that was out of our hands. It was out of the director's hands. It was out of anybody's hands. It was purely a battle between Warner Brothers and Cannon Films about money. And Warner Brothers, I think, from what I've been told, had the final edit on the film, and they cut it to smithereens, made it impossible for it to make its money back at the box office, and picked up Cannon's chain of North American cinemas. That's the way the story goes.
Yeah.
Once you're a pawn in a battle like that, there's nothing you can do about it. But it did nearly make me want to give up acting. because you do well enough to get an audition for a job like that. You do even better to get the job, and you do even better to do a good job on the job, and then to be cut for absolutely no good reason is horrible. Yeah, sadly, the footage that remains of the part, and I had a $6 million fight with Superman. I mean, $6 million doesn't sound very much now, but in the 1980s, it was quite a lot of money.
It was a lot of money.
Yeah, so the worst things were like all my nephews and nieces. I told them I was in a film with Superman and like that, so they'd all gone to school telling all their mates, and then when it came out, I wasn't in it, and I think they got a hard time at school saying you're winding us up and lying. But
yeah,
all that sort of thing, you deal with it, but it still leaves a very nasty taste in the mouth.
Which is a shame. You can see from the footage. It's with that silly music over the top of it makes it just so stupid.
I haven't watched that, or I haven't seen that. No.
All right, yeah. It's as I say, it's on YouTube, and there's got silly, stupid music over the top of it. And I would love to have seen the full kind of thing. So you filmed at 86, 87. Can you tell me about Hello Mum, a show you were a writer on with the very talented cast, Helen Leder and
Nick
Wilton. And obviously, the very first episode, you've got the Terry and June theme running over it as well.
Well, it was it came from a series. We did 3 series on radio called In One Ear. And it was live on a Saturday night at 11:30 at night on Radio 4, and became a bit of a cult. We won the Sony Radio Award for Best Comedy. It was an extraordinary experience. Going out live in any medium is a very trepidatious thing. We then transferred it to television under the guise of Hello Mum, and it didn't work. Bits of it did. But the very nature of it being live, there was no merit to it. We were, if you think at the same time, Smith and Jones and people like that, they were recording and at least an hour's worth of material a week, and then putting out the best half hour. So it was wall to wall laughs. Ours, was a half hour live comedy, 10, 15 minutes of which might have been very funny and worked very well, and 10 or 15 minutes of it might not have done. So it was a real mixed bag, and was reviewed. I think the Death Knell was a review from a famous old comedian, wonderful comedian, Peter Cook, who just really ridiculed it and slagged it off so badly that I think that was the death knell for it. And there was really no need for it to be live on television. That didn't add anything except a massive jolt certainly for Nick and I, who had the bulk of the words to say. Helen as well. She was more isolated, did more by herself on that show. But Nick and I can remember the fear. I saw him the other week actually, and I still look in his eyes and know we've gone out live on television, and it must be like a band of brothers sort of thing. What you almost like being in the trenches with someone, except there's no bullets flying around. But it's an extraordinary experience. But it didn't. That didn't hit. That was the radio was brilliant. The television not so good.
They're all on YouTube if anybody wants to watch them as well. That's where I found them. And I can't remember it because Bermuda Triangle struck a chord. As soon as I watched the first episode, I went, I can remember this.
Yeah. The wonderful Robin Driscoll, in that, who went on to write all the Mr. Bean things and things like that. Yeah,
brilliant. And then after Hello Mum, 1990, you're one of the only men to beat up Clint Eastwood and get away with it. In White Hunter Blackheart, the excellent White Hunter Blackheart.
Yeah, it's a good film. It's a good story, and it's a true story. It's there's a very famous film called The African Queen, directed by John Huston and with Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall, and it was it Lauren Bacall? I think it was Lauren Bacall.
Yeah, I think it was.
And this is a film about the making of that film, because John Huston refused to start shooting the movie until he'd shot an elephant. For some reason, that's what he wanted to do, and it was set in Africa, obviously, and Clint played John Huston, and I played the nasty racist hotel manager of where the whole of the crew and cast was staying, when they were making the film. And so I had a massive fight with Clint, which took, we were out there for weeks, but the actual fight took 2 full night shoots to do. And as we were filming it, Clint always works with the same people. And but at that time, this is in, I don't know, what year did you say it was? 1990.
1990.
Yeah, he'd already been working for the last 17 years with the same people, and they sat down in one of the breaks and said, "Has anyone ever beaten you up before? Has anyone ever got the better of you?" And they ran back through all his films, and no, he'd always won. He'd always won the fight, and I was the first person to beat Clint Eastwood up and live to the end of the film. So what claim to fame that is, I have no idea, but it is certainly a fact that gets rolled out. And the most thrilling thing, of course, was to work with him. And he was a kind, gentle, intelligent, funny man. Not at all like his silent screen personas. He hates smoking, and he'd have to smoke, and he'd hand the cigar or cigarette or whatever it was to somebody at the end of the take, and have to have a spit and a mouthwash. He really, really, really hated smoking. He was a keep fit fanatic. He used to do a day's shooting. He was playing the leading role in it. He was directing it. And then he'd go to the gym for an hour and a half at the end of the day, to keep fit. And all the English actors, we'd done more than that. We were in the bar for an hour and a half at the end of the day. We went. His dedication, was something to behold.
That's why he's still alive at nearly 100.
Right. Yeah. We all had our little moment with him at the rap party at Pinewood. When we were back from Africa from filming it from Zimbabwe, and I said to him, Clint, what's next? He said, I don't know, I'm just going to drink a little wine, watch a few sunsets. And it was just such a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. It sort of sounded like a line for a film, but actually I think that's what he did do.
And what a career he's had. I've always been a fan since I saw Sergio Leone's Fistful of Dollars. Just
an extraordinary man, and he'd sit and talk to us about his early days as a steel worker, and trying to get into acting and stuff like that, and his lucky breaks, and a remarkable man. Yeah.
Then 92, you played Clive in David Fincher's Alien 3.
Oh, William. The character's called William, yeah.
Right, sorry.
In Alien 3, yeah. Well, again, another wonderful experience. Six months at Pinewood, 7 huge sound stages, all with the most beautifully constructed sets. You could wander around these. Normally, you wander around the back of something, and it's held together by sellotape, and it shatters the illusion. But these sets, the camera could go anywhere. It could literally go anywhere. There was 3-dimensional, wonderful sets, so that was a lot of fun. Sigourney Weaver was a genuinely wonderful leading lady, she I think she really enjoyed being with a group of guys who, we weren't sycophantic. We were fully cognizant of her status in the industry, but she sort of became one of the chaps, if you like, and that was greatly to her credit. No, she was fine company. We overran slightly because someone stole David Fincher's notebook from the set and sold it to the National Enquirer in America, which is a bit like the News of the World, if people remember that. And they printed what was the ending of the film, so we had to film 3 endings so that the public didn't know what to expect. Because it was overrunning so badly, the sound stages had been booked by another movie coming in, so they had to close down all the sets at Pinewood, and people's deaths and things like that. The denouements were all filmed in Los Angeles. So all the people, I made it through to the final reel. It was great. But I was contracted to the Nottingham Playhouse to do a play with Mike McShane and Sandy Toksvig. So I had to go there instead of going to Los Angeles to film my death. So I think I'm just a scream down a corridor and old William's dead. That's a glorious experience, and a wonderful, really wonderful bunch of British character actors mixed in with the Americans, and we had a real riot of a time, I have to say.
Sorry, my daughter's just came in.
That's all right.
I've been, and I just had to tell her to be quiet there.
She can chip in if she likes.
No, you go back into your room, good girl. Sorry about that.
That's all right, don't worry.
Alien 3, a great experience.
It really was, yeah. It's wonderful to be on those big things. I can still see Fincher, who was 28. It was his first big break. Sitting in front of banks of monitors, the special action stunt sequence, the computer sequence, the second unit sequences, the first unit, the main unit.
Yeah.
Monitors of all this going along, and how on earth he kept his cool. And I think 20th Century Fox were putting a certain amount of pressure on him to get stuff done in time. But as has proved, with his track record and the wonderful work he's done, he's a genius. Yeah.
Oh, definitely, he's made some absolutely cracking films.
Yeah.
And I can also remember WYSIWYG, which came out the same year as Alien 3.
Did it? Well, that's with my old mate Nick Wilton, who was
with
right. On Hello Mum, and I was doing this play in the West End with Sandy Toksvig and Mike McShane. What was that called? Oh, I can't remember what it was called. And on the Sundays, I was going up. I'd get the train up after the Sunday show to film all day Monday, Tuesday morning. Then I'd get the train back on Tuesday afternoon to be back in the West End for a Tuesday night show. And so, yeah, that was when you got the work there, you've got to grab it with both hands, because you never know how long it's going to, the sun's going to shine in terms of your career. So you really have to just jump at anything that comes along.
That's it. And I can also remember you as Frankenstein's monster in the Electric advert.
Yeah. Well, politically, it was a very, very sore bone for me to, I wasn't particularly a great fan of selling off the privatizing the electricity industry, but I was about to lose my house, and as the vagaries of acting and finances in acting, it was the only way I had of earning a living at that particular time in order to save the house. I think it was at those times of extraordinary interest rates and stuff. Anyway, yeah. So, but it was the largest ever advertising campaign up to that point in Britain. I think there were 22 or 24 commercials we filmed over about 2.5 months, I think. And yeah, extraordinary. I mean, again, really wonderfully put together. They were fantastic scripts and realised absolutely beautifully. The funny thing is, I spent 4.5 hours every morning in makeup, having all the Frankenstein makeup put on, and it took about 1.75 hours to take off at the end of the day. So that for sort of 5-6 days a week for 10 weeks was, that was a bit of a feat of endurance. And I found out that the guy called N. Rytel, who did the voiceover for the commercial, earned the same as I did, and he was in the studio for about 3 or 4 hours one afternoon, and he did all the voiceovers, topping it down, earned the same as I did for 10 weeks work. No, never mind. I'm very, very grateful because it bailed us out and paid the bills and stopped the bailiffs coming in. And sometimes, well, you find out at moments like that about your principles. It still makes me shiver that I had to forego my principles in order to earn money. But that had to be done.
Yeah, well, of course. Then going back a few years first, you had a role in Casualty in 1988 as Robert Forbes, before coming back as Mike Barrett, and you spent 6 years in one of Britain's most loved shows. And you did pop up again in 2016, and also in French and Saunders Live. Now, Mike Barrett was such a big character in Casualty for the years he was in.
Yeah, it was lovely. It was the first time I'd been given the opportunity really to play a really constructive person. Normally, if you're 6'5.5", people say, "Oh, he's a thug," or "He's a heavy," or "He's whatever." And I did. For many years, I played all those heavies, punching people or being punched. Listen, I'm not complaining. It was a really, really wonderful, busy time, and I was lucky to work with some extraordinary people in some wonderful places. So I'm not knocking that. What was wonderful was to play a constructive man, an educated man, and a kind man. A role model, actually, as I found out later, for junior doctors and people at medical school. They were shown tapes of Mike Barrett to say, this is how you deal with the public, this is how you talk to people, this is how you talk to your staff. So I was very proud of that. I wanted to portray the National Health Service in the best light I possibly could, because it's the most incredible organisation under, I cannot imagine trying to run a department, let alone a hospital, let alone a health authority. I mean, it must be an absolute minefield. And generally, when people are at their most critically ill, when they're in the most need, the National Health Service is there to scoop them up and look after them. Of course, things go wrong, and of course, not everyone gets that. The wonderful attention. Some things do go wrong, some things slip through. But by and large, it's the most incredible organisation, and it needs nurturing, and it needs funding properly. It needs reorganising. It needs rebuilding, whatever it takes, because it's what makes a country like Britain great, not the nature of its politicians or anything like that. It's the quality of its mercy and its caring and nurturing nature through the eyes of something like the National Health Service, which makes this country great, I think.
I completely agree. Since I went down with the transverse myelitis condition, I've spent quite a lot of time in hospital, and 4 months was when it first happened. I was in for 4 months, and the staff were absolutely amazing. And also watching the staff get abused was horrible to watch, and I had to step in,
Yeah,
even though I couldn't step, but I had to. I've got quite a big voice and
yeah,
raise my voice and raise my opinions to people who were calling the staff names, racially abusing them.
yeah,
It's horrible seeing what you see, but the staff are amazing in the NHS.
yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
you know, absolutely fantastic, and yeah, absolutely fantastic. Is it right you used to answer all your Casualty fan mail as well?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think that's an important part of it. I was very grateful to have the part. I was very grateful to be playing such a wonderful, fully rounded character on the television, and I knew how important he was becoming to. Not everybody, but I mean a certain section of the television public, because I get these amazing letters from people who said that, I wish my doctor was like you, or I wish this, and I think you're duty bound, especially if you're working for the BBC, which is owned by the people.
Yeah.
To give back. So the Beeb were very good about supplying photos, and then but I wrote all my letters, and
That's absolutely fantastic.
yeah.
94, you start opposite Dawn French in The Vicar of Dibley in two iconic episodes, one of them being the puddle incident.
Yeah.
You played Simon Horton, David's younger brother. Just
Yeah.
superb episodes. And you
Well, thank
obviously
you.
broke Geraldine's heart as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful to have been part of it, because they're wonderful experiences, and I have to say that I would have been in more, except I was under contract to Holby City, so I had to get back to that, and I filmed the Vicar of Dibley in 2 breaks I had. So a glorious experience. She is the most remarkable, wonderful woman. A completely all-encompassing presence in the rehearsal room. Not only a brilliant performer, but she's wise enough to realise that the funnier and better everyone is around her, the more that reflects on her and the show. And she's not one of these people who wants to cut everyone else's funny line. No, only have the funny lines herself. She's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful performer, and company member. Great experience. And some of the lines that got cut during the week of rehearsal building up to the record would be the best lines in other shows, but they were superseded during the week. As they came up with a funnier line during rehearsal. It's just fantastic, a real education.
And obviously you've done French and Saunders live as well, so that must have been quite fun.
Yeah, well, this is the mark of Dr. Mike in Casualty did make his mark, and I was lucky enough. There are all sorts of spin-offs, from Comic Relief or whatever it is, to French and Saunders doing a doctor on the stage with them. Yeah, fantastic. I mean, I'm very, very lucky. I've done a lot of very different and exciting things with brilliant people like Dawn and Jennifer.
Oh, definitely. As I said, you've been in some iconic TV shows. 96, you were the subject of This Is Your Life.
Yeah.
But the show was also your TV debut back in 1978 when you were on the Michael Croft interview as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, Michael Croft was the founder of the National Youth Theatre, and they did his This Is Your Life, and we all bounded on at the end as being the next generation of Britain's theatre stars, so to speak. And extraordinary. And then I ended up having done myself. So it was like standing on every carpet you've ever walked on in your life and having them all pulled out from underneath your feet at the same time. It was a real shock, But it was a glorious evening. I remember that. And especially my heroes from Worcester cricket team and the Chelsea FA Cup winners from 1970 coming on, and meeting Peter Bonetti and Ron Harris and oh god, Ian Hutchinson. It was just absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
And again, another show that it was just another iconic British TV show, and to get the Big Red Book must have been fantastic.
Yeah,
As
we get it out occasionally and have a look through it, and it's so long ago now. It's I mean, it happened early on in my career, really, and yeah, a lot of people who are on there are no longer with us, which is great, very sad. But yeah, an extraordinary thing to happen, and the play I'm doing at the moment, somebody found This Your Life on YouTube the other day, and came in and they wanted to hear all about it, and yeah, as I regurgitated the stories about it, it just made me smile and made everyone smile. It was an extraordinary time.
that's where I got a few of the questions from, I must admit, because I found it on YouTube and I watched it a couple of times
Yeah,
as my bit of research, as you
yeah,
do. I mean, as I said, you're in some fantastic British TV shows, including Smith and Jones, One Foot in the Grave,
yeah,
Bottom,
yeah,
Boone, The Invisibles, just
yeah.
fantastic. What a career you've had. And then 2011, you did 3 episodes of Game of Thrones as Great John Umber.
Hmm.
That must have been quite the experience.
Yeah, we didn't know at the time that it was going to be the phenomenon that it became. I mean,
No,
you enter into all these things with the best will in the world, trying your best and hoping that they're going to succeed. Um, we knew they were spending a lot of money on it. 2010, those first 10 episodes cost $50 million, and I think it's all up there on the screen. It's certainly not with us, and well, us lesser characters, but it was uncomfortable. It was minus 22 in Belfast as we were filming those outdoor scenes in Strangford Lough. And I'm tempered by, yes, being part of something extraordinary, but being absolutely frozen. I'm not long back from Everest on a charity trek, and that coldest it got there was minus 15. So yeah, it was colder standing on Titanic dock in Belfast than it was in Northern Ireland. Anyway. Yeah, I was meant to do series or bits in series 2 and 3, but they wouldn't give me the dates, so I couldn't turn down a year's work that I had lined up with other things, just for doing 2 or 3 days with Game of Thrones. So sadly, I didn't get to go to the Red Wedding. I think that's where Great John Umber dies, which would have been in series 3. But never mind, these things happen.
Ah, that's a shame. That's a shame. Also, 2011, you were in the excellent comedy White Van Man as Tony. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Me and my
Yeah.
wife thoroughly enjoyed watching that, I must admit. Good crack.
Well, yeah, very good series. Very, very lovely group of people. And we should still be making that now. But a new controller of, what was it, BBC Three came in. And as when new controllers come into TV stations, they wipe the desk of everything that's gone on before, because none of the credit from that goes towards them. And so White Van Man got thrown out with the empty bottles, and it's a real shame, because there was 80 or 90 or 100 people involved in that, whose mortgages depended on it, whose livelihoods depended on it. And for the ego of one person to come in and say, "Oh, well, I'm not getting any reflected glory from this series, so I'm going to scrap it," I mean, they wouldn't want to meet me in a dark alley. I know that.
That's brilliant. Don't want to meet me in a dark alley. Kill them. Also, you've appeared in a couple of Sherlock Holmes related products. One, the Without a Clue.
Yeah.
where you played a bit of a thug. You were mentioning you played a lot of thugs. And
Yeah.
then you also played Dr. Frankland in the Hounds of the Baskerville episode of
Yeah.
the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock,
Yeah. Martin
which
Freeman.
brings us back to Wanda Bentham.
Yeah. Well, he bounded up to me. I first worked with Benedict on a lovely series called The Robinsons, I think it was called. And he bounded up to me and said, my mum says hello. And it's just fantastic to meet up with people during their careers and
Yeah.
see the progression. And Ben and Martin Freeman were on set were absolutely fantastic. They were all inclusive. If it looked like you were sitting off by yourself and looking like Billy No Mate, say, "Okay, come over here." And we were on quite a few night shoots on that, and they were, yes, everyone's sitting around telling tall tales of glorious past. Wonderful examples of the way to go about leading a TV series, both Martin and Benedict, because it's quite daunting going into a show, especially a show as prestigious as Sherlock already was by the time I went into it. It can be a bit intimidating until you find your feet. And for people like them to welcome you and to make you feel at home gives you the best opportunity of doing the job for which you've been employed, rather than be intimidated or cowed. You've got the ability suddenly to take part fully, and that's down to people like them making you feel welcome.
And great episode as well. You've also done quite a lot of voice work, including a lot of Doctor Who, in various roles. How come?
Yeah.
I'm surprised you've never done the live action Doctor Who.
Yes, so am I. I'd love to because of the repeats, but no, it's passed me by so far. There's still time. I think they're still making it. So I'm lucky enough to do these things like conventions and things like that because of Alien 3 and Game of Thrones and Robin of Sherwood. All these things are real sort of cult TV things, which if I could bag an episode of Doctor Who as well, that would ensure my longevity doing conventions. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Because and you also played Gator in the Thomas the Tank Engine cartoons as well.
Yeah.
Which kids everywhere love. But another iconic show you were in was Still Open All Hours.
Oh yeah. I've forgotten all the. Yeah, I mean, what a thrill to stand opposite David Jason in his shop. I used to go in once a series to do an episode. Character called Mr. Roper, who was absolutely befuddled by David Jason every time he walked into the shop. But he was obviously so burnt by his experience that he only walked in once a series. It took him that amount of time to get over the fact he'd been ripped off before he dare set foot in the shop again. But no, a real lovely time, and to work with all those icons. The roars of laughter coming out of the green room. Lovely experience.
I'm surprised you weren't in Only Fools as well. That's another one which would have been
I think
good for you.
At the time, I think I was probably doing Casualty at the time, I think, yeah.
But no, also, which is brilliant, which you can find on YouTube, Beat the Chasers, and you won 100 grand. That was excellent to watch.
Well, it was excellent to do. I mean, it was completely nerve-wracking, and I don't think I'd do it again, to be honest. It was so stressful that I don't think I crack a smile in the whole of the time I was doing it. But won £100,000 for the National Youth Theatre of Great Britain, the people who gave me my start. So I think it was a nice way of saying thank you to them. and you know, much needed funds, because the arts are, to be honest, you know, there's so many calls on so many people's money for charity and for subsidy and all that the arts are often forgotten, and they often need a lot of help. People forget what people up and down the length and breadth of the country get from the arts. You know, all our television, all our film, all our theatre, all our opera, all our music, all our, you know, the arts, the paintings, the galleries, the it's so important to elevate people's condition. You know, you can be living in the worst slum in the country, and you can walk into an art gallery for free, and you can be inspired to do something, to change your life, to change your status, to think about things differently, to communicate with people. And the arts do that in a way which, you know, the subsidies that they receive are absolutely chicken feed to the finance and the remuneration that the government earns in you know, taxes on all the tickets that were sold for British products in the arts world, or films, or whatever it is. You know, the tax that the film stars pay. You know, anyway, the subsidies.
I know what you're saying.
The subsidies given to the arts are dwindling, and they are very, very important.
And what an incredible thing to do! 100 grand will have been a nice little drop for them. You also write children's books about history as well.
Yeah, I've got a lovely character called Freddie Malone, who can go anywhere in history, anywhere in the world. So the first book was Everest, and trying to trace whether Mallory and Irving got to the top in 1924. And the second book is Tutankhamun and the political state of Egypt around that time. And the third is Great Plague, Great Fire of London, 1665, 1666. That's a tumultuous time in Britain. And I've just finished book 4, which is Vesuvius and Pompeii. So Freddie and his gang can go to all these places. They're eyewitnesses to the events, absolutely historically accurate. And I place his adventure in amongst the real events. And so they're fascinating to write. So it takes me about a year to research each period, and then I immerse Freddie and his pals in amongst it.
That's brilliant.
And they go down very well. They go down well with schools and libraries and things like that. So it's and it's a very lovely complementary career to acting, because when I'm not acting, I can write, and when I'm not writing, I can act. So it's but I'm very, very, very happy. And you know, it's lovely to have published work. You know, it's never thought I would, but it's lovely to see them up there on the shelves. It's good.
No, I completely agree with you there. I write a few articles for a magazine, and I never thought I'd have the bottle to do it.
Yeah.
And I have done, and it's fantastic. What a fantastic career you've had. I think I've covered just about everything. What is it you're starring in at the moment?
I'm in not only for another week or so, but a show called Ghost Stories, which has been we've been running for nearly a year now. We started rehearsing December the 16th, 2024, and we finished November the 8th, 2025. So I've got a week left in that. Done over 250 shows or something like that. It's been a massive undertaking touring. We toured to 27 venues around the country, a week in each one. It's been a huge year. But I shall be lying down in a darkened room in a week's time, recovering from that, because being away from home for that length of time is not ideal. You get home for one day a week, and then, you know, by the time you remember what the dog's called, it's time to go back again. You know, Anyway, but you can't be, you know, if you want to keep going for 40, 50 years in this business, you have to, you know, you've got to keep, well, you got to keep the bills paid, you got to keep food on the table, and not every job can be, you know, lazing by the side of a swimming pool in South Africa or somewhere. You know, you've got to, you know, you've got to tour the length and breadth sometimes, and you know, it has to be done.
I mean, what an incredible career you've had, and it has been an absolute pleasure sitting down and chatting with you.
Thank you very much.
It has. I hope my questions were okay.
No, they're
And
fine.
once
They're really fine.
once it all goes out, I'll let you know when it's going out. It'll be a few weeks yet.
Lovely.
I'm a few weeks behind.
Don't
And no, thank you so much, Clive, for being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And it's been an absolute pleasure watching your career since the days of Party and Minder right the way through till now. And I was surprised when I went through your, surprised how much things I'd actually seen you in.
That's great. Hopefully there's still a few more things to come. Who knows, though?
Well, this is it. This is it. Stick around when I do the sign out, and I'll have a quick word with you. But thank you for being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You're very welcome, and good luck with it. And get hold of Danny Peacock. You need him to be on the show.
I will. I'm definitely going to try and get Danny on. I'm working on it. I've got a friend of mine who knows him, so we're working on it that way.
Great.
But no, thank you for being on the show, and it's a goodbye from me, and it's a goodbye from Clive.
Thank you very much indeed. Take care.
Take care. See you now.
My name is Lil Silver. I bet you think you know all about vampires. Believe me, you know fuck all.
It's time for you to embrace the bigger picture or die.
I told you, you knew fuck all about vampires.